the Jill's House interns, are you all able to come on screen? Oh, good. See, we have a group, which I just wanted to acknowledge, of interns from Jill's House. Well, they actually are interns from the School of Public Health at Indiana University.
Awesome.
And they are working at Jill's House, and they are working with Janice Bays from the Dementia Action Alliance, who very kindly invited them to join us today. And oh my gosh, that's great. I don't know if everyone's reading the chat, but Advantage is going to make a place for people to hear, view Let's Reimagine at their conference coming up. And the CEO is going to say something about it in the opening of the conference. Bravo. Great, Sherry.
Sherry.
And that, so, well, why don't we kind of use this to get started? Romeo, can you take over letting people in?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Thanks. All righty. Hi, everyone. And just since that's kind of a nice way to kick us off, that is something everyone can do, by the way. If you either are planning or involved in planning a conference, if you're attending a conference, if you know people who have conferences, approach them about, showing Let's Reimagine and possibly doing something about the coalition. But at a minimum, I think people have been, and I've gotten a very positive response from people who, are simply open to sharing it to the entire conference body, which is very lovely. So that's just another easy way to keep spreading the word. Okay, so welcome everyone. We are expecting others, but we've got a pretty good crowd. And for those of, I think I know most people, but for those of you who don't know me, I'm Mary Fridley. I have the good honor of being the coordinator of the Reimagining Dementia Creative Coalition for Justice. This is the third of our first series of 2022 member gatherings. So it's a nice way to get the kick off, 3 months in, kick off the new year. The last two, it's been, they've been very inspiring. I mean, for me, they always are. So that's not surprising, but there's just been some very lively, thoughtful, conversations. And I just continue to be inspired by, just what's possible when there are spaces like these where you just have different kinds of people coming together, and there's plenty of room for working to see what we can do to create something new, to take those risks. And I think in our world, that's particularly important. We're about 18 months into our existence. We continue to grow. We now have about 670 members from about 29 countries, including Malaysia, which is our newest country member. And there is a group actually in Malaysia, I'm thrilled to announce that they are the first group that is now creating their own Let's Reimagine video. They are translating the lyrics, they're taking the music, and they're going to be using it to really, help advance a grassroots movement in Malaysia that's taking place to bolster and to kind of, engage there's not a lot by way of dementia care in Malaysia. So this is a group that wants to do something about that, but wants to do it in a radically different way. So they're very much looking to us as a community of support. And we obviously want to be that for them. And we hope many, many more people will, view us in that way and use the resources available. And that's just one indication that the response to Let's Reimagine has been enormously positive. We have also coalition members, steering committee members. Actually, let's just take a sec. I realized maybe since we're all, I think, still on one screen, could members of the steering committee or founding members just raise your hands and let people know who you are? I know Pia, Jill, Margaret, Kate, Sherry, Wally. So obviously whereas I, have the honor of speaking at the moment, none of this would be happening without all of them and with all of you. I mean, this has truly been a collaborative and collective effort. And we, so at any rate, so we have, in addition to just continuing to grow the membership and expand our reach, we've participated in dozens of podcasts and media interviews. We've been starting to engage in conversations with organizations around the world about possible collaborations. Mike Belleville, who's a member, and Liz with Dementia, and I did a really lovely conversation with the International Federation on Aging, who's now interested in continuing that conversation and offering it to their members around the world. And I thought that this was a podcast that Pia Santos, Robin Girton, who's also here, and Wally, well, you're all three here, so there you go, did with, it was a wonderful conversation. And again, I urge you all, if you haven't gone onto the website and checked out checked out the website, which is wonderful. We have a lot of really just wonderful, smart, thoughtful, radically creative conversations that invite you to look at and share. But this was one that Pia, Wally, and Robin did. And I thought that, and I mean, they were all wonderful. So in choosing this particular segment, I really do, everyone was brilliant. But there was a short section where Wally spoke, and I just thought that it would be fun and helpful to play it for you all. So Paula, and also I just wanted to give a shout out to Paula Dirks, who's our tech person, tech support VJ for today. So Paula, if you could just play that segment, and if folks could, if you're not already on mute, go on mute just so everyone can hear. Just play that segment.
To sit and think, I can't be part of this. It's easy to dismiss these kinds of things and say, this isn't who I am. Nothing could be further than where I am today and where I was 6 years ago. I never saw this as a role for me, okay? And I think that, when you look at people who are diagnosed and they come in to this kind of it seems like a nightmare at first, and then you find out that it also, there's a lot of joy that can be found and had. And we want people to come in and feel comfortable. Your story is important to the quilting and framework of who we all are. And when the song starts, it talks about the trees in the forest, which I think that was Robin that brought that to the song. But, I think about when you go into I live in the redwoods, and you go up in this giant redwood forest, and there's huge standing trees, there's old trees that fell over that are creating growth for new trees. There's this melange of all kinds of colors and growths and bent over and majestic, but it forms this beautiful, beautiful picture. And that's what we need. We need the voices of those who are going through these things. We need you to share your heart and soul. We need the care providers to talk about what they're going through. We need the doctors and the healthcare professionals that are facing, their own internal struggles when they have to tell somebody whether it's cancer or whatever else, that there's no hope left, and how horrifying that is. But on the other hand, how much grace there is in that particular moment when they share that with somebody, what a difference they can make in whatever amount of life's left, in how they share that story and how they personalize this communication with somebody to let them know that there's still hope, there's still faith, there's still love, there's still beauty, there's still awe. And so when I look at reimagining dementia, I see a group, and I've given this example before, but now I don't want to be on the front porch talking to you or in the living room talking. I want you to come into the kitchen and let's sit down and drink some coffee and talk about our lives and our goals. And there's still a lot you can do. There's still a lot you can do no matter where you are. And I know there's a lot of despair in people's hearts, but there's still hope out there. And if you come to a group that's positive and has good energy, which this group has, and a lot of laughter and a lot of caring, I think you're going to find a place you can call home.
Yeah. Yes. And what I feel most proud of, and hopefully you do as well, is that we're creating this home, and what one of our members, recently called a hub of creativity and innovation, and a place of belonging that we're really all part of building. And that's, I don't know. I mean, one only need watch the news these days. I just feel like I feel so fortunate to be with all of you in creating something and that's, in the midst of so much ugliness and so much beauty. And how can we find the balance between them? Because both are true, they're both going on. And, to create something that gives us all the support individually and collectively to continue to dream big, to build big, to go beyond what's known and what we're told is possible or not possible. And to create, as Pia said in the interview just before Wally came on, of just a space where people can actually see new possibilities, because that's a big deal. Because if we can't see them, it's hard to convince people that we can do something new. So we are, and I just, before moving on in the agenda, I wanted to just read a short note we got from Quentin Oram, who is a member, and he also heads up a family foundation. He just sent me a note because we have been working together on something, and he said, reimagining dementia is exactly the movement we need. I hope, pray you continue to feel energized in your work. We're honored to be your thought and vision partners. The other thing that Quentin said, and this will segue into our kind of next moment of creative fun, is that in a conversation, he said that he thinks of things that was very special about us is that we're both remarkably goofy and very accomplished. And I just think to me, that was the highest praise possible, because I think you need to be goofy and fun and playful and just be willing to challenge that kind of pseudo seriousness that just ends up keeping everyone kind of paralyzed and unable to do much of anything. So I want to bring up somebody who, she's a new friend, she's a new member, but I feel absolutely certain that she's equally accomplished, equally goofy, and equally talented. So she definitely belongs. It's Denise Arribas. And she is she was born and raised in San Juan, Puerto Rico. She now resides in the great city of Atlanta. She is an actor. She's a hospital clown. She is the daughter of an amazing woman who's been living with dementia for the last 10 years. And that experience has inspired Denise to create a theater performance, Unexpected Encores, which will premiere at the Alliance Theater in Atlanta this fall. So I've asked Denise to get us going in our playful and improvisational energy and continue the goofiness of all this. And so Denise, it's all yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I teach a class monthly at the the Alzheimer's Association here in Georgia. And one of the things that we do is, in our first speech, is that we don't expect for anybody to get anything perfect, and that mistakes, we embrace them, which is part of improv and clowning, and that we not only embrace them, but we celebrate them. So I don't want to have any pressure that you have to be perfect. Perfection is an olden day belief. We just want to have fun and embrace who you are today. So with all that said, we're going to play a game that it's called Stop Go, and it is part of like a theater game, and we're going to do the Zoom version. So for the first part is just seeing how you all follow instructions, which the instruction will be walk. That's the first instruction. When I say walk, you're going to walk in place. You can walk however you want. And when I say stop, guess what you're going to do? You're going to stop. Perfect. That's the first cue. Are you all ready to walk? Walk with me? All right. Walk. Stop. Excellent. That was the first level, and you all passed. Congratulations. Very well done. Now, the second, we're going to add a second command, and it's going to be face. And that moment, you're just going to make a funny face. like that. Doesn't have to be that one, whichever one is funny to you. All right. And face. Very good. Very good. And then when I say clap, you're going to clap. Ready? Clap. All right, let's go over that again. Face. Clap. Wow, I got goosebumps how well you're all picking this up. All right, now we're gonna do the third command. And the third command is gonna be head. Gonna touch your head. Very good, head. Excellent. And then you're gonna do hands. You show me your hands. Very good. Now we're gonna put all of those together. Ready? All right, we're gonna start with walk. Stop. Face. Clap. Head. Hands. All right. Now you ready? Because I'm gonna mix them up. All right. All right, let's start with walk. Head. Hands.
Oops.
Face. Face. Clap. Walk. Go. No, sorry, that was walk. Stop. Very good. All right. Do you feel good? Do you feel like you got it? So now this is what we're going to do. Walk goes with stop. Face goes with clap. And head goes with hands. But now we're going to switch them. So I'm going to say walk. But when I say walk, you're going to have to stop. Okay, so I'm flipping the commands. But here's the deal. This is the part that we celebrate. If by any chance you mess up, which is the fun part, you're going to say, I made a mistake. And we're all going to clap. It's going to be wonderful. Okay, ready? All right. And walk. Ah, very good. Great. We stop at walk. Excellent. All right. Stop. Very, 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 very good. All right. Head.
I made a mistake.
Yay.
Yay.
Very, very good, Mary. And then we're going to go hands. Very good. And then face.
I made a mistake.
Yay.
And then clap.
Mistake.
And stop. And walk. And clap. And face.
I don't know what I did.
All right, let's
And
bring it home.
And hands. Hands
Oh,
and
well,
head.
all right.
Very good.
Give yourselves a big round of applause. We all made mistakes. Yay.
Yeah, even I did, and I knew the game.
Okay.
Well done.
Good. Let's keep celebrating making mistakes. All right, so we're gonna move into small groups as our want. They're both because they're just an opportunity for everyone to get to know each other and continue forming relationships and connections to other members. Also, we want to, I mean, it's not a heavy duty direction, but we would love for to, as kind of as part of getting to know each other, is to begin let's just keep building on the conversations we've been having about how do we take this and how do we take all that we've now built and continue looking forward to 2022 and beyond, but kind of how do we want to keep reimagining dementia? How do we want to keep taking our vision and values and keep refining what is it that the coalition is uniquely suited to do? Because there's a lot of organizations out there, they're doing wonderful work. We obviously want to be supportive, and we've come together for a reason, to kind of creatively challenge the culture and conversation about dementia. So that could take many forms, but we have a lot to work with and build on. So, play with that. And I really mean that, kind of, support each other to go to some new places, maybe say some things you've never thought about. But whatever we individually and collectively want to do, and then we'll come back out and spend a few minutes just sharing and talking together and kind of, and again, as most of you have been on these, but if you haven't, these conversations really have helped inform all that we've been doing as a coalition, period. I mean, we really, including last year. So these are not just kind of idle exercises, but really how we keep tuned to what our members are thinking and kind of what's out there, what's being talked about and what's possible. So without further ado, Paula, why don't we bring people into the, and if somebody can kind of, sorry, before you do that, let me just say one more thing. Again, if someone can kind of take notes and report out, probably, I mean, knowing how these have happened over the last 3 days, you can be in touch afterwards, but if there are things in particular that you want to make sure we make note of, somebody can report out, but otherwise just enjoy the conversation and see what you can create together. So now let's bring people into the small groups.
Mary, how many minutes?
Let's go with about 21 minutes.
Okay. All right. I'm sending you out. That might have been a little brief.
Yeah, well, it's not an exact science, we've learned. Oh, Sarah, it's very lovely to meet you. I've seen your name so many times that it's nice to have a face.
Yes, hi Mary. Hi everyone.
You just couldn't give us 22 minutes, huh, Mary? It had to be 21.
Well, I think it's
That
called
close.
premature leaving of groups. It's probably now a Zoom dysfunctional
My
disorder.
bad. My
I'm sure
bad.
it'll become an official diagnosis. Prematurely leaving a Zoom room.
It's gonna leave you all excited, so you leave on a positive note.
That's right. But thing is, anyone in theater knows you want to leave them wanting more.
One more.
That's it.
All right. Are we all back or? Yes.
We got cut off at the end.
Yes, I know. Sometimes you just are too enthusiastic and you're hitting the button. So, but hopefully you got some, and it's never enough time. So let's see what we done in the time that we had. Let's be loved. Oh, hi, Laura. Sorry.
I'm sorry, I came in, I got caught with a client.
Oh,
on a
you were
call,
the
so-
person who came in later.
I was, and I just saw
Uh-huh.
breakout 3 about long distance dealing with
Well,
dementia.
Usually we put an L for late, but we'll spare you the shame. All right. Anyway, so why don't folks kind of, in a way, continue the conversation now with everyone. I would love to hear some of what you spoke about, how you, whatever you feel like sharing. We can open it up. And if you want to chat, I guess, given that we have two screens, use the raised hand if you want to, so I can, because otherwise I don't think I'll know necessarily if somebody wants to chat. So, the floor, as they say, is open. Sally, go forth.
Well, I left the conversation so inspired and feeling like this work is not just this work, like Reimagine. It's really it's a narrative shift that could go so much beyond just what we're doing. But we started out with Kate talking about using the technique that asks you to be really in the moment, and then feeling like with someone who has dementia is also the same, just discovered with improv. It's being in the moment, not trying to figure out the past, not trying to project the future, but being with the plenitude of right here, right now. And that seemed to be like a theme for us, because it was opening up a door, because how many of us are striving through our practices, our spiritual work, our mindfulness, to be able to enter that state of right here, right now, this moment, what's possible, and that actually being around, with dementia is another door into that kind of world. And it can change how we think about aging, because instead of having aging be this hobby, oh, this is when we actually mindfulness.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then amazing stuff. We also talked about, living dementia could be an enriching opportunity. And then Masood was so moving as he was saying that, when he was diagnosed, how he would have created a group like this if he only knew what was possible with reimagining dementia, that there's so much that would have helped, and closed out with the words that I just love, called "I'm no longer scared." And what a gift that is, to be able to bring that to the world.
Mhm.
I'm no longer, either because of experiencing it or being up close and personal to people who
Thank you. And by the way, people should feel free to respond to each other, even if it wasn't, quote, officially what you spoke about. I mean, there's not rules, but thank you, Zoe. That's lovely. Margaret.
Margaret has her hand up.
Yeah, Margaret.
I just wanted to tell Sherry and any other people on our working group for challenging, I can't remember the name, but challenging stigma among physicians about dementia, is that's what we talked about in our group. And we have a new person with dementia, Jane. I've already forgot your name, your last name, Jane. I'm looking for you.
Washburn.
Jane Washburn, yes, who had some stories that align very much with what we heard from Jim and the other person on our committee about, you don't look like you have dementia, except in Jane's case, it was a much more severe consequence than just an attitude problem. And then I think Chuck is another person with dementia, is interested in joining our committee, so our working group. So very exciting. More about, you don't look like you have dementia. What does dementia look like? Which we've discussed before in gatherings. I've got their emails. So I'll send you their emails. Thank you, Chuck and Jane. Thank you.
Right. Just by the way, that also came up in it was yesterday's gathering as well, of how we can come together to possibly do something more positive within the healthcare, and with healthcare professionals who actually would like to move forward in this way. And who are kind of, so it is a big topic. Others? I don't know.
Helen Abel raised her hand.
Helen.
Hi. Yeah, I was in the group with Jane and Pia and others who were talking about this committee that's been formed to work with the whole topic of, you look like you don't have dementia because you do well in a group and in the present, so therefore you don't have it. So there is a committee, and they were asking people to join, and people were also talking about conferences where they've brought together doctors or physicians and people with dementia, and having them talk to each other. And so I just thought that, given what we're talking about in the future, conferences, and that just seems like a wonderful idea. I mean, eventually we can go much bigger and think about how do we train physicians to know more about people with dementia. But yeah, it was just very moralizing. And Jane's in California and I'm in California, so we talked about maybe possibly getting together and talking more. Yeah,
That's great. Holly, you had your hand up. Or if you didn't. Now you do. so.
Sorry, I made a mistake.
Oh,
I
you
made
were-
a mistake. I made a mistake.
Can I jump in, Mary?
Well, apparently so did I, but now, sorry, you wanted to jump in?
No, can I jump in?
Yes, whoever's I get, sorry, I'm not.
It's Nefeli here.
Thank you.
Sorry, the
I'm a little
multiple
under the
streams.
weather, so I'm not quite moving as quickly as I might. Go ahead.
So, yeah, just to add a couple thoughts. One, I was in the group that Sally was reporting on, and the conversation around what we've learned about being in the present moment resonates, I think, for all of us. And I appreciated that so much. But to build on what Helen was saying as well, I've been asked to so one of the ways I think to help be in the present moment that folks may or may not know about is Ann Basting's work with time slips. And I've actually been asked to do a time slips training with some medical students. And which is, I'm thinking it's going to be at the end of May. And so I've been thinking about planning that opportunity, but just to mention, Helen, I think that question around training and about reframing and opening up the possibilities for for our upcoming physicians is a big one on my mind. So I think just putting that out there, I think more and more medical schools are thinking about sort of medical humanities or narrative medicine or other ways in which we open up and shift the frame of how physicians approach and encounter and engage with people with dementia. So I've just sort of offer that as an idea to expand upon, because I think the coalition can be really useful, perhaps as we think about training our med students.
Yeah, I'll just add, do a Google Scholar search for Danny George. He's published a bunch of papers about his medical students doing time slips, and has had just some marvelous observations that he's made about what's happened in terms of their response. It's just terrific.
Yes. Yeah. Thanks, Susan. Yeah, I know of that work, and I'm hoping we can bring that forward and bring more light to that. Yeah. Every med school should have that work.
Just a question. Just because we're close to running out of time, and there's never enough time to, but I have all the groups said something. I just don't know who was in who. So if there's a group if somebody wants to share that hasn't already shared, I'd like to give you first dibs, and then. Robin.
Hi, everybody. We had so many expert dementia specialists in our group, and there was some great networking happening. There's two things that I wanted to flag from group 4, and one is Sarah Main's sounds like fascinating work in her PhD thesis work. All of the stories and experiences of people with early onset dementia, a website with pictures, a podcast, an e-flip book coming out. Check out Sarah Main on LinkedIn. I think that's fascinating. And I also wanted to acknowledge Aji Swinner. My apologies again for mangling your name, but Aji is a professor from the Netherlands, and she had a great question, which is when you're showing the video of let's reimagine that it's in English, and if you are presenting it to people where English is not their first language, how can you make that an authentic experience? And our response was to go onto the Reimagining Dementia website, get the music, which is truly international language, and make your own song, and maybe pose some open-ended questions to your group about what you want the world to know about dementia, and what you want, what you wish and hope may be possible in the future, and then start from there with authentic lyrics in your language.
I mean, it's also the case that the lyrics have been translated into some other languages. So check that on the website, because it is the case that we have, and it really has been done by members. So if there's a language not represented and you want it, please send it to us, because we can't make it. I mean, we just don't have the resources to do all that obviously we would love to do, but all of you are resources. So and again, you don't have to wait for permission. You can do that. Yes, Manjay?
So I just wanted to follow up on that. So thank you for sharing. I helped also with the Dutch translation of the text. It's just that it loses its rhythm, right? And it loses its poetic potential. So I really love Robin's suggestion indeed to make it our own in a different way through open questions. So that's very helpful. Thank you so much.
That's great. Good.
May I just butt in really quick, because I know we only have 1 minute. I did see in the chat that someone was talking about long distance caregiving, and I just wanted to share with you all that I have started a for good business for long distance caregivers, for caring for their parents with dementia. My dad had dementia when I was 28. I was an only child. My mom was in denial for 3 years. I find that I'm not the only one going through this, but I am the only one that has a business on this. So I did see that there was a comment, I think, from the doctor about some thoughts about long distance caregiving. So I'd love it if the people in that group can share with me what your thoughts are.
Right. All right. Well, close out, but I had a thought about being in the moment. I'm really glad. I mean, obviously, as everyone who knows me knows, I'm a big fan of improvisation and improvisational play, and in part because I just think it's simply the most powerful way to be in the moment. But I think what I started to say to people is, I think the best way to do it is practice being in the moment all the times you're not with people living with dementia, because we're not an in the moment culture. So it's kind of like something that I think we can all get better at. And I'm saying that seriously, gently, but let's keep practicing, because it's not as if we do it so well with everyone else and then we just fall flat when it comes to people living with dementia. I wish that were true. We would probably be doing a much better case. Masood, if you can make it real quick, give about 30 seconds and then we will dance our way off.
Yeah, just to quickly, when I'm on any Zoom session or any meetings of this nature, that dementia is upstairs in the bedroom. It's never with me. And I never even think about it, because, what I'm getting out of the meeting and what people want to hear is more important than dwelling on something that's not curable.
Yeah, well, thank you. And we're thrilled, obviously, that you're here. All right, so thank you all. Obviously, we will continue this conversation in many ways. Keep sharing thoughts. If you want to, we can keep distributing those. But thank you all very much. It's been a wonderful coming together. And as always, let us send you off dancing into the rest of your day. Practice being in the moment and celebrate mistakes, because I suspect we'll all make some in the course of the next 24 hours. That's my guess. Anyway, Romeo, take us out. Thank you all again.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Here come bad news, talking this and that. Well, give me all you got, don't hold it back. Well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room you want.